I'm Debbie LaHaye, and I'm a director of Horses Helping People, which is a therapeutic horsemanship centre. I set up Horses Helping People with my partner Dave Johnson about 10 years ago, and we're a full-time therapeutic horsemanship centre based in Buckinghamshire, in 20 acres of Buckinghamshire countryside. And people come along 5 days a week to spend time with our horses and to enjoy the natural environment, really. We're open to anyone that can benefit from being around horses, which in my eyes is pretty much everyone, really. Um, so we work with any age. I think our youngest visitor has been 2 and our oldest ones are pensioners. Um, the main thing that our participants have in common is that they're living with some kind of challenge in their lives, which means that they may be experiencing disadvantage or isolation or be vulnerable in some way. So, for example, we work with people with mental health issues, people with learning disabilities. We work with carers, including young carers, people with dementia, people with autism. But the wonderful thing is horses don't see any of those labels. So that's one of the most powerful things about this, is that horses accept people for who they are inside, as long as the horse feels safe with the person. So in fact, we do have one exception to the people that we allow to come here, and that is we don't take people with a history of violence. That's not to say they can't be helped by this work, because they can, but we're a small centre, and in order to protect our horses from having any aggressive energy around them, we just have that stipulation in place. And then when people come here, every session is different because it depends on the needs of the individual participants. But typically we spend a lot of time just hanging out with the horses, really. We might be watching the herd and learning about how horses interact with each other. And therefore we can understand more about how we might communicate with horses. So horses are prey animals, so they don't cope well under pressure, and we find that that is actually true for a lot of people that come to us as well. So it's very laid back down here, very relaxed, and I think that's one of the main things we see, is that people might come to us feeling very uptight and worried, but within a while of being here, they're relaxing. And you know, you can't, if your situation is one where you need to heal from something, or you need to grow, you can't do that if you're feeling uptight and nervous about stuff. So the first thing is to get people feeling calm and relaxed. For ourselves, we've chosen to have a license from our local authority. So in the UK, if you offer any kind of riding, you have to have a license from your local council to allow you to do that. And that consists of an inspection once a year by a vet and by a health and safety person from the council, who will check up on all your things like first aid and safety around the site, and the vet will check up on the welfare of the animals. So
I see.
that's something that we do, because we do offer a little bit of riding, but we also think that it's a good thing to have in place anyway. But if people are offering any kind of horse therapy where they don't do riding, there's no obligation on them to have that checkup at all. So it can be tricky. But I think the general feeling of one that I share is that there does somehow need to be some kind of regulation that protects both the horses and the clients, because there's also a danger that people are coming into this totally untrained and with no experience with people, and actually not aware of the safeguarding that vulnerable people need as well as the horses. There's so much similarities between the way we treat our horses and the way that we treat vulnerable people in our society. So, in fact, there's a good quote from Gandhi. I can't remember the exact wording, but it's something about you can tell a lot about a society by the way that they treat their animals. I think that's really relevant in this situation. So the feeling out there is that yes, we do need some kind of regulation to protect both the horse and the people participants, but it needs to be done in a way that isn't rigid and isn't sort of enforcing standards that are not applicable, because
Yeah.
if you look at the UK, a sort of well-known standard for a lot of stuff within the horse world is the British Horse Society. So if you go to a riding school, it might be British Horse Society approved. But the British Horse Society has very little experience in the world of horse therapy or therapeutic horsemanship, so wouldn't be appropriate. So there's various moves going on to try and set up some kind of central body to oversee
Okay.
this stuff, but it's a real challenge.